How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Hold the Line Sports channel. Today we got a good one. We're going over the NFC South, where my and Cam's Falcons play. So we'll see, how bad we hate the Falcons and how bad we hate the other teams. This division has been, kind of categorized as one of the worst in football for a long time. It still probably is. A lot of these, I think, probably two of these teams are not good at all. Two of these teams have a shot to win the division, but if they were probably in many other divisions in football, they wouldn't have a shot to win the division. So, really and truly, this division is kind of wide open to me. You could have a sneaky surprise with the Panthers, with Bryce Young potentially breaking out. The Falcons' Penix season, defense retooling, getting that pass rush back together, and then the Buccaneers have won it, I believe, like 3 or 4 straight years. So they can obviously win it with Baker Mayfield at the helm with all those weapons on the offense as well. But we can get into first the team that I think has absolutely zero shot at winning the division, the New Orleans Saints. All their cap space, reworking and doing all that stuff for the past like 10 years has finally caught up to them. Their roster is not good and they have no cap space. It's a problem. I mean, we obviously, they kind of got screwed by Derek Carr retiring. You couldn't really predict that, to be honest. And he was playing well before his injury last year. They were like 2-0, and then he got hurt, and they just fell off a cliff. But, they got Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shough to replace him. Spencer Rattler was just named the starter. So that tells you where their quarterback room is at. He's not very good, not really explosive. We've seen that offense. We've seen him in the offense before. They almost won a few games with him there, but I just don't think he's really the truth. I personally haven't liked him since he was at Oklahoma playing there, but you never know. And then I think the biggest story, though, is can Chris Olave stay healthy? He's had, multiple concussions throughout his entire career, and this last one was really, really bad. And so they kind of, the season was already over, basically, kind of keep him out the rest of the year, which I totally understood from their point and from his point as well. But can he stay healthy for a full entire year? Because him and Shaheed can, keep the quarterbacks at least, a little more competent, maybe, like if they're throwing to who, Spencer Rattler was throwing to last year when Olave and Shaheed were hurt, we could have some problems. But with them two, you have two at least decent to really good targets that could help open up the passing game, and they're going to need it with Kellen Moore. He does like to run the ball. But I do think that Kellen Moore is a good hire here. I just don't think he really has the roster to do anything right now. That's the one problem with him. This roster is not where it needs to be for a winning football team. Really and truly, that's just what this Saints team is right now. They're gonna probably have to go through this for the next probably 2 to 4 years, depending on some moves, some draft picks hitting, stuff like that. Just due to the fact that they put themselves in cap space hell, basically trying to prolong their window, and they did, and now they're paying for it now. But I mean, they could rewrite the ship in 2 to 4 years pretty easily. Just let that cap come off the books, get some players in there, hit on some draft picks, do all that. But their over under win total is at 5.5 wins. I personally don't see them sniffing it. I mean, sniffing it's like 4 or 5 wins. I could see them getting 4. That's my max wins that they get this year, to be honest. 4. I'd probably put them at the 3 range, but 4 wins is kind of pushing a little bit for me. And yeah, and I'm free balling this one. Usually I have notes set up, all this stuff, and I've had no time this week to do any notes or anything. All I did was make the presentation. That's it. And I'm currently doing this while watching the Nebraska game on Thursday night. That I have Nebraska -6 and currently up 3. So hopefully we get it going. But yeah, I have the under 5.5 wins on this one. I just don't think this team is that good enough to get to 6 wins. I mean, they didn't get the 6 wins last year, and I think the team is worse. So really and truly, I don't see why the win total is at 5.5. But we can move on to the maybe the sleeper team of this division, the Carolina Panthers. Drafted Tech McMillan for Bryce Young this year, and Bryce Young, he got benched last year for Andy Dalton. We all saw that story, and then he comes back and actually is kind of like a new man ish. He was really actually really good when he came back. He beat the Falcons when they had a shot to go to the playoffs, which ended up not really formalizing. But I mean, they've scored like 40 points, which our defense was pretty bad, but still, he looked really good when he came back. I mean, he pushed the Chiefs to the brink. So I do think that Bryce Young is going to look pretty good this year, and the offense is going to look above average to average compared to what it was last year. It's just the defense. Can they stop the run? They could not stop the run. They couldn't stop me running back there last year. Like, get Derek Brown back, but I just don't think that's even enough. He's very good. That team, they're just going to run it away from him the entire time, which, it's kind of hard to do, but really and truly, like, there's no one else on that team that can defend the run at all. Not a single person. And then, secondary health. J.C. Horn has been hurt a lot. Really and truly, it comes down to secondary health and can they stop the run on defense. And I don't think they're going to be able to stop the run. Not at all. And I don't think that they're going to be able to stay healthy because, I mean, just history has shown that they can't. So I want them to stay healthy because I think this Panthers team is fun. Ted McMillan, sadly, got rid of the white boys and Adam Thielen and Hunter Renfrow. But I mean, Ted McMillan and Xavier Legette with his country accent could be some fun. And then Jalen Coker back there as well. I do think that this team can be sneaky and be a tough out, basically but I don't think they're going to win that many games. They're going to be. I think they're going to lose a lot of one possession games. That's what the Panthers are going to do this year. I have their over under win totals at 6.5 wins. I think this line's really sharp. I have them probably winning 6 games. I could see 5. I could see 7 even if a couple of bounces go their way. So I would probably stay away from this one. I do think this line is super sharp. 6.5 is probably the sweet spot for me with the Panthers. And then we get to my Falcons. I'm a little biased, obviously, as one fan would be. I do think we're a tad bit underrated coming into this year, as much as we love to talk in Atlanta. But I've seen like a lot of, power rankings putting us in the 20 to 23 range. I do think we're in that mid-teens range because our offense, I think, is going to be really good with Penix. I mean, we saw Kirk. We were like 6-3 last year with Kirk when he was healthy. So that's a good team. And then I think we're better. Penix is going to be able to sling the ball around. Drake London is an elite wide receiver 1. Darnell Mooney, good wide receiver 2. Kyle Pitts, the GOAT. And it's his year, as we've said. But I think this it's truly his year this year. I promise you that. Mark my words, this is his year. And then you got a great 1-2 punch at. You got in my opinion, the most talented, not the best running back in football, Bijan. And then you have Tyler Algier as a bruiser back there. If Bijan ever needs a break, that's a great 1-2 punch, 2 1,000-yard rushers in their career. So, but then also we did stuff to, our pass rush for the past, since 2016, the year we made the Super Bowl, our pass rush has been horrible. Absolutely terrible. It's almost like, it kind of coexists. The 1 year our pass rush was good, we made it to the Super Bowl. Kind of, maybe it's just a thing. But, we finally did something to address it. Last year I wanted Dallas Turner. We took Michael Penix, which in turn I thought was horrible, but somehow it worked out because Kirk looked horrible. But this year we got Jalen Walker, who I think was a great pick. He's going to be able to, I think he's going to be able to rush the passer and stop the run and drop out into coverage if we need him to. And then James Pierce Jr. He was projected 1-1 coming into the college football last year. He's that talented. It's just, we've seen, he wasn't as productive as he was, the year prior at Tennessee. And then we saw some maybe off the field issues, but we've had nothing since he got to Atlanta and he's been shining at camp. So I do really think James Pierce is going to be I don't know if he's going to get like, double digit sacks in his rookie year, but I could see a 7 to 9 sack year truly from James Pierce Jr. In this. The one thing that could stop him is he was already getting double teamed in preseason. So maybe he's, just, working on stuff or whatever, and he might not get it in the regular season. But that I think is what could stop him. But hopefully that opens up the door for other people to, get home potentially, because now we have a pass rusher good enough to be double teamed. So we'll have to see. Um, Really and truly, I think this team comes down to, can the pass rush be average or better? The secondary is probably average to above average. I think Jesse Bates is the best safety in football, and AJ Terrell is the most underrated corner in football. And then the linebackers are solid. I like Caden Ellis. I think he's a really good player. And then I like Jalen Walker. It really just comes down to that pass rush, because you can only cover for so long, and the D line, the trenches basically, is what wins you football games. If the D line keeps getting absolutely bullied, we're never gonna do anything ever. And then also you got to go to the other side. This is the trenches there. We lost some guys. We got some injuries going on. So I really do worry about it. I do think we'll be fine, because I trust our coaching there. I trust Zach Robinson. I do think our offensive line will be fine, because it's been good for years. Kind of give us the benefit of the doubt there, because I think we've earned it with O-line at least. Our O-line has never really been a problem since probably like 2018, 2019, to be honest. I think we've actually been really good there, and I think we'll be fine there. But the over-under win total is set at 7.5 wins. I have us going over. I could see a 9-win season from us, to be honest, 9 to 10 wins. We went 8-9 last year, and I think we're better. Schedule got a little tougher than last year, but I do think we're able to, do some, make some tough wins. We should have beat the Chiefs last year. We had some games just not go our way, to be honest. But really and truly, I do think this team is going to be really good, and enough to make the playoffs. And you guys I could be showing my bias here, but I think this team will be solid and go over 7.5 wins. Then we got the Buccaneers. Liam Cohen, biggest loss of the offseason, in my opinion. He's now in Jacksonville. He was the offensive coordinator for that prolific offense that made Baker Mayfield look like a top 10 quarterback, which I do think he still is. And Bucky Irving look amazing. And then, can the offense be as elite? I do think Mike Evans is still good, but it's another year. Can he stay healthy? That was his problem last year. Made it to 1,000. I think he was better over a short period of time last year, but he just made it to 1,000 because he missed like 3 or 4 games, which that can hurt some stats right there. And then you got Chris Godwin coming back from an ankle injury. He's probably not coming back till like week 5, like they said, like October, but he's practicing already, so we'll see with that one. But then you draft Emeka Egbuka, who's a really good slot receiver for them. I think that's going to be a really big difference maker for them, and I think he's going to be used like a round 1 receiver straight off the rip. And they're going to have, Jalen McMillan has shown he can step in and be really good. So I think they have 4 good receivers on that team: Mike Evans, Chris Godwin when he's healthy, Emeka Egbuka, and Jalen McMillan. And then Kate Otten, solid tight end. And then you got Bucky Irving as well back in the backfield with a solid RB2 and Rashad White as well. I think the offense is going to be really, really good. Big loss in Tristan Wirfs. He's going to be out for the first bit of the year. But I think he'll be back and they'll be fine. And then they have the same problem as the Falcons, pass rush. Can they get to the quarterback? That was their problem last year. And that's kind of the reason why they were swept by the Falcons, because they couldn't get to the quarterback. And that's why a lot of the Falcons lost a lot of games, because they couldn't get to the quarterback. It's almost like it's correlated, to be honest. But I do think this team is really good still on the offensive end, and the secondary is pretty solid. But I do worry about the pass rush. I do worry about it, but I think it's going to be solid enough to win them a lot of games. And, they get to play in the NFC South, so weaker division, but tough out of division schedule. But I do think that they're going to be able to, I have them over 9.5 wins. This line is pretty sharp for me. I think that I have them literally at 10. I could see 9 or 10. I don't see them getting 11, but I also don't see them getting like 8. To be honest, I think they have a winning year. I think Baker will will them to a winning season with all those weapons and everything like that. But I think this line is super sharp for them. So these are my predictions for the standings. I have Tampa Bay and the Falcons both going 10-7. Tampa Bay winning it off some tiebreakers, but I think both get into the playoffs. 10-7 should get you in, and then Panthers going 6-11. I said that line's pretty sharp. And then I don't know why it says 3-13 down there. Should be 3-14 for the Saints. I do think they only win 3 games this year. They're just not good enough to win football games. But yeah, let me know what you guys think that I missed maybe, or what you guys think is going to happen. Did I bias to the Falcons? Probably. But who doesn't? Who doesn't to their team? Like every Cowboys fans thinks it's the Cowboys' year. It's not. They just traded Micah Parsons to the Packers for. I mean, I think I've been people saying that it's a horrible package, but I thought it wasn't that bad. But we'll have to see with that one. But yeah, let me know what I missed with this NFC South predictions. Drop your standings down in the comments, and yeah, make sure you guys subscribe, put that notification bell on so you guys are the first ones to see the vid, and drop a comment so I can respond as soon as possible. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Finally, college football is here, and peace.